All right, welcome back to our coverage of Broadband Nation Expo here in Orlando, Florida. I'm Alejandro Piñero from Fierce Network, and I'm excited to be here with AFL, not one, but two experts to talk all about broadband. Ryan O'Sullivan, Director of Broadband Ecosystem Development, and Will Miller, Director of Global Product Line Management. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining me here on the interview desk and
Excited to be here.
sofa.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. All right, well, let's start with a bit of an introduction for those folks that might not be as familiar with AFL. Tell us a little bit about your product line and where you sit in the ecosystem when it comes to broadband. Should we start with you, Will?
Yeah, Will Miller, the product line manager or director for global product line management, as you mentioned. So that's in our broadband business. So we've got three different products businesses supporting three separate markets. And that is mostly around the passive infrastructure, so cable connectivity, as well as fusion splicing and test equipment.
Awesome.
Yeah, Ryan O'Sullivan, good to be with you again. And historically AFL was really known as an energy company going way back, but we've since diversified, as Will said, to really serve all aspects of broadband, whether that be energy, whether it be traditional service provider, and now certainly have a large presence in the AI sector, data center sector. So touching on it all, and like Will, I'm with our broadband group in the marketing development organization.
All right, well, Will, let's come back to you then, and if you could talk me through, what your core products are, and how do those solutions help the ecosystem, and what are you focused on now? I know it's been quite a year for broadband, so it'd be good to hear what you're focusing on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting year. Actually, been an interesting couple of years. So you've got kind of almost the convergence of these multiple markets all supporting each other. I'm talking about hyperscale data centers, the energy space, and then conventional broadband. So our product sets really support those three core markets. And in that, kind of our cornerstone bread and butter is really developed around a high density cabling solution, connectivity solutions that support that. So a few years ago, we launched what we call our wrapping tube cable based off of spiderweb ribbon technology. It goes up to counts of 6,912 fibers, and then various products that support that. So we developed that cable, minimal use cases at the time it was developed, and now you're seeing it deployed all over the place to support this AI surge. So that's where you're starting to see, again, the kind of convergence of networks, but there's still the remaining effort that we're doing, especially with BEAD finally potentially happening in the last mile. So it's not all just about connecting these data centers, but it's also the products supporting the last mile deployment to residential and business customers, right? So we maintain a full product set of connectivity products, fiber products that support that as well, along with the test equipment to test the system after you splice it using AFL Fujikura fusion splicers. So pretty broad portfolio.
Great. And Ryan, let's kind of build on that. Fiber is still the technology of choice when it comes to connecting a lot of these locations. There's a ambitious target out there in terms of how much fiber needs to be laid down, and to your point, Will, it's going to happen quickly, right? So how are you guys keeping up with that, and how do you see that demand evolving? And I assume the quality has to be reliable and top notch. So how do you wed those two together?
Yeah, a big word you hear right now is low latency, and that's driven by a few things. Will has already hit on the beat aspect of this, but a big trend we're seeing right now involves connecting all of these data centers, connecting really everything back through them, and with that, he mentioned the spiderweb ribbon wrapping tube cable. For us, it's how do you get as low latency as possible and as small a cable as possible. And that's really the name of the game right now. So a lot of our development is going to decrease size so we can have cable that's spiderweb ribbon wrapping tube cable, our top technology for cable, that's allowing for the lowest latency possible and the quickest speed to deployment. There are some other things being developed in the market that are maybe not totally deployable right now, may have a little more niche usage for them. But with the demand for what's going on in the AI data center space right now, specifically to broadband, connecting all of these data centers and having the proper cable, having the proper technology to do it is what we see driving the market both now and for the next few years.
So Will, let's talk, more operationally in terms of your manufacturing capacity locations. What does that look like for you guys?
AFL is a global company. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of our parent company, Fujikura, in Japan. So they have a lot of capability, our parent, Fujikura, and they have a lot of capability in Japan, fiber drawing, cable manufacturing, et cetera. But it's truly a global company. So we were talking a year ago about BABA. So we've actually got BABA cable manufacturing capability in the U.S. At our Duncan, South Carolina headquarter facilities, 5 different facilities actually there making various types of products. One of those being that wrapping tube cable with spiderweb ribbon, BABA compliant spiderweb ribbon. We have access to BABA compliant fiber and glass, and that's becoming more and more of a concern. Can we get enough glass to support all the booming needs? So very broad supply chain there. Some manufacturing capability in Monterrey, Mexico as well, Asia, Europe, Australia, you name it. We're probably in that region to some degree.
And you made the point about the glass and getting that and making sure you have enough. Are you seeing supply chain issues? How are you handling those? And then also a lot of talk about workforce here this week. Are you seeing that an issue, and how are you handling that?
Yeah, so on the supply chain resiliency topic, absolutely, we're hearing a lot of it. Not to raise panic, try to soothe any fears there may be, but I would say that's probably priority 1A at AFL right now, is ensuring that we've got the proper supply of fiber and cable to be able to address the market need out there, and ultimately provide what our customers are looking to us to provide to help them meet their objectives, right? So fiber is probably priority 1A. We're looking at enhancing fiber supply globally and in the U.S. So it's, I would say, relative to BABA, BABA is one where there's going to be tight supply. Because I think when we were talking about BABA 2-3 years ago, this AI inflection point hadn't hit us just yet. So it's a whole different ballgame now, with hyperscalers trying to connect their data centers across the country with fiber counts as high as almost 6912. So that starts to stretch the manufacturing capabilities really quickly. So yeah, we're, again, priority 1A at AFL is making sure we have that resiliency in place to be able to support our customers to meet this ridiculously increased demand that we've seen in the past year.
Yeah. And to that point, Ryan, I mean, with AI and the demands that that's going to bring with fiber, and with the BEAD resources being, stretched, is that also a consideration for you guys? How do you think about that resource allocation?
Yeah, it's a consideration for sure, because it's a competing supply chain in that sense. What's different now from maybe 2021, 2022, when there were some supply chain challenges, is what Will mentioned is the size of the cable, 6912, right? So when you've got that much fiber going into cables instead of 48 or 96 or 144, it's not so much competing for line space to make material. It is securing the true supply for the cable. So there is, to his point, not to raise concern. It's just you have to be smart about how you're using your resources and how you're planning for it. Our company's going through a lot of planning right now for how to do demand planning in a more sophisticated way. And so we're confident we're going to be able to support both markets and support the growth, but it is going to lead to some overall market challenges potentially. And I think too, when you start at the conference earlier today, I heard somebody talking about 6G by the end of the decade. When you've got an AI inflection point, when you've got BEAD BABA, when you've got 6G and not fully understanding what the backbone to that's going to look like, it's going to require a lot of collaboration across the industry to make sure we do this responsibly.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's wrap up here with, as you mentioned, we're at the conference in Orlando for Broadband Nation Expo. So what are you excited about, about being here? What are you talking to folks about? What's your core message? Shall we start with you, Will?
My biggest takeaways, well, my hope for takeaways coming out of Broadband Nation. I mean, last year I was kind of preaching the gospel of Broadband Nation, and a lot of the industry leaders, the amount of knowledge that we gleaned from the market coming out of Broadband Nation last year. So that was the intent coming in here again this year, is the market's very different than it was a year ago. So there's a lot of sessions. We've talked about AI here. There's a lot of sessions around AI from industry leaders there. So, we hear a lot from the market. We hear a lot from customers, but you kind of grab individual pieces here and there to stitch together an overall story. So I think getting industry leaders to help stitch that story together for us and just add more data points is always key, and actually understanding what the market's doing and the direction it's headed.
Absolutely. Ryan, anything?
Well, I think Will lied. I think he really is most excited about going to Universal later in the week since we're in Orlando.
Doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's aligned with what Will's saying. It's you know, when you think back about the last 5 years of the market, especially the last 2, the changes have just been, I mean, at a really quick pace. And having a pulse on what's going on, what other leaders in the industry and other parts of the industry are seeing, I take comfort in it seems that most people are seeing similar trends, saying the same thing. I mean, I've heard several speakers already talk about, you know, collaboration within the industry, responsibility, and I think that's really important. And it seems like the industry is committed and on the same page. And I think just understanding as this thing changes, what does that mean for maybe not our direct competitors or our direct customers, but what's going on in the industry as a whole?
Yeah. Well, listen, great to have you here once again and to chat with you guys. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for being with us this week.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.